So Mathsweek. Mathsweek runs and starts next week, actually. And this year is the 25th anniversary. So it was established by NZAMT in 1998. And initially, for those of you that know Alan Paris, who is, of course, dearly departed now, but he was the huge down here, obviously involved with the AMC and probably taught at Linwood College for many, many years. And many of you, I'm sure, will know of him or know him personally. And then over the years, it was taken over by Bill Elwood, who also well known in Christchurch and around the country, also departed last year, I believe. And those two people were pretty much responsible for driving that for a long time. Now, as Pip says, we are now a team of writers that are involved with that. And it's taken 5 of us to replicate what essentially those 2 people did by themselves, pretty much. They had a little bit of help, but to give you some idea, for me personally, you're looking at probably anywhere from 40 to 50 hours worth of work. I can't speak for the other writers, but I suspect that similar. Some will be more, particularly the leader of the group, because he has to collate all of the files. So, and if you think about one person doing that, you'll get some idea of the scale of the work that both Alan and Bill did. They are legends. Okay, I am in awe of them. So last year there were almost 300,000 students and about 7,000 teachers that registered. It is suitable for all students from year 1 through to year 11. And obviously homeschool students, and even if you've got year 12 and 13 that are working at level 5 of the curriculum. So it's curriculum levels 1 to 5. It is free. It's funded by the ministry, and it's important that if you do register, that you do register rather than sharing the passwords, but I'll come back to that in a minute. So the goal of Mathsweek is simply to promote maths and statistics from in New Zealand. As we all know, there are other Mathsweeks from other countries around the world, and it's our thing. We get it, and if we drive it and push it in our schools, it's supposed to be fun, a way of our students maybe doing something a little bit different and just pushing it out there as a priority. Everybody, if you think about all of the other curriculum subjects, they all get their time in the sun, and it's important that we promote maths as well, particularly given what we know about our achievement as in New Zealand at the moment. So if you want to register for Mathsweek, the best way to go about doing it is to do this. So you would go to the Mathsweek website and just click on this button that says registration. The whole form will take you about 30 seconds to a minute to fill in. If you've already done it, it does know that, and it'll tell you that if you try and register the same email again. It is important that you do register because the ministry collects those numbers and decides every year, kind of the amount of funding and whether or not it's been successful. So thank you. If you do register, that would be awesome. And the next thing after you've registered, you'll pretty much very quickly get this year's login and password, and you'll be able to use that to log in. And we're going to look at that later. So next thing to do is have a look at the frequently asked questions from the website. Now, just working my way down, there are some games on the homepage. They go live on the Monday. There are only 2 of them. There were more, but they were written in Flash. And if you know anything about your ICT, you'll know that Flash is no longer a thing. And we had to pay to get the 2 that we did get done converted. They do work on everything, these 2. So they'll work on an iPad, they'll work on a laptop, they'll work in a tablet, and they're in the browser. So easy peasy. Good starters, maybe for the start of your lesson next week. I've talked about the registering. Once you register and you get the sign-in, then you can go to the resources, and not particularly that one. I'll show you the sign-in in a minute. So a lot of the other frequently asked questions I'll cover in the presentation. So once you've got the resources, it's really important that you download them and print what you need. There's an awful lot of stuff there. In fact, far too much stuff for you to get through in any 1 week. I have 4 maths lessons a week. You're pretty lucky, I think, these days if you've got 5. And so it is set up for 1 lesson a week, 5 days. But don't feel shy. Don't feel like you have to do it just in that week. So you can pick and choose what you've got, print it later, save it, and use it when you've got time. So there is a mix of activities. Some of them work best on paper. Some of them are digital. And some of them need a calculator. Some of them do not. And also equipment is really important. Particularly, we've built in tasks that use equipment, particularly at the lower levels, level 1, 2, and 3, but they are particularly useful still at level 4. So just have a look at the tasks so that you're ready to go on before you use them. So Mathsweek in your school, if you are looking to promote Mathsweek, it is best if you can get the whole school on board. Okay, it needs a lead teacher. And yes, because you are here, I am looking at you. That's how I got stuck into these things. I showed an interest, and the next thing I knew, my principal was shoulder tapping me to do things. That's how it works, really. If you want to get the whole school on board, obviously it needs to be calendared early. And the last slide that I've got is how I went about getting my whole school on board, which I've managed to do for the last 2 years. But I kind of started with myself and a couple of colleagues first. There are some activities that are suitable for sending home. So they are suitable for mum and dad or granddad to sit down with a child and just work through them. And you can do that a couple of ways. If you're using Google Classroom or something similar, then you could throw it up there and the children could show their parents. Or they're also designed to be printed as well, just because we know that not all schools and all families are able to do that. So we just want to reach as many people as we can. And then, just save what you can and choose what you want to do. Particularly remember to print above and below 1 level, because in every classroom, I don't know, for example, by the time you get to my level at years 7 and 8, in my home class, I'm dealing with level 2 to level 5, all in the one classroom. That's why for many of you at that level, you may have banded classrooms to kind of limit those boundaries. So next thing that we have is the logo design competition. That's new this year, because if you look at the Gecko, I've taken those from the website. He's been around since the beginning, I believe, and it's time for a bit of a refresh. So we took the opportunity to come up with some ideas around how could we perhaps involve the students in this. And this is a chance for them to do that. There's a $150 prize at each year level. Sorry, there's a $100 prize at each year level and a $150 overall prize. So the year levels involved are years 1 to 3, years 4 to 6, and years 7 to 8, and years 9 to 11. If they win the overall prize, then just to share it around a little bit, they can't get the 150 and the 100. All right. What they do is they create it. They can draw it themselves, and then they need to digitize it by scanning it, or they could do it digitally. Now, they can't upload it at the moment, but they will be able to upload it on Monday. So there'll be a button on the website, and as long as the file isn't any bigger than, I think 5 megabytes is the limit, then they can simply upload that. And there is a cutoff by the end of the week to allow us to very quickly do some judging and then announce the prizes. Ownership has to go to MZAMP, of course, because we'll be using it on the website. And there might be a few little changes that have to be made by our ICT person to put it so that it can be used. But you'd be really surprised. I do this with the Cantermath I'm involved, and each year we get students to create a poster for next year for the advertising, and it always turns out beautifully. So please do get your kids involved in that. It'll particularly suit maybe some of our kids that love doing the art and got a maths focus, but maybe perhaps maths isn't their happy place. They're going to love doing that, and they can do it at home and submit it at home. So that's the logo, the fine prints there. The presentation is going to be shared with you after this, so don't worry about writing any of this down or saving it. You don't need to. Now, onto the activities. So once you sign in and access the activities, there are 3 that you can get right now, and there are more next week. So the Daily Dollar starts off as there are 5 questions with increasing difficulty. Now, it talks about a dollar amount. Obviously, it's not real money. Sorry, team. It's a great lesson starter. So the activities take about 10 to 15 minutes. And I've got a couple of examples there from this year. Now, each day is a separate worksheet. You can print it or display it on a screen if you want to do that. Now, it's very flexible. So students can work in pairs, they can work in groups, they can work by themselves. It really is up to you to let them decide how to do it. For me, when I've used it, I've left it up to them. If they want to do it themselves, they can. If they want to sit in a group, they can. If they want to work in a pair, they can. I'm all good with it. And then you just keep track of points across the week. You can give them a certificate at the end of the week for the students that get the best scores, or chocolate. We all love a little bit of chocolate as a prize. Now, I'll give you some, we'll just have a quick look at a couple of the examples. So this is an example from level 3. Now you'll notice that it's called this year the Bill Elwood Memorial Series. As you know, Bill passed away last year, so that's why we've put that there, just to honour his contribution for all of that work that he did. I've met Bill personally, and he's a wonderful man. There was nothing that was too much for him to do to help a kid in maths. He just I know that just around the corner from me was Westburn Primary, and the first time I met Bill was because he would go along to Westburn when he was retired and just teach maths for free, just because he loved doing it, to help out some of their able students. And he was just so great at sharing his a gift, really, of what he knew. And that's just something, these are just the parts I know about. I know with these people, there is stuff that I don't know. I find out more all the time. There are 5 questions each day. So what you see here is there are instructions at the top for you. Now, they're printed at the top of each sheet. So there are answers at the bottom. Now, I'll scroll down to the example. So there's always a topic, and there's that theme may change from day to day across the week, but the theme will be there for that particular day. So this is a measurement theme at level 3, okay, and it's the Mondays one. And as you can see, we like to throw in word problems just to get the kids familiar with the vocabulary, because the vocabulary is just so important. It is something that we know that when we talk to our kids that we can improve. So anytime we can use that mathematical vocabulary and throw it in there, and then we will. but we also like to throw in some visuals, and the answers are all down the bottom. Don't get too hung up on the units. So just because, it says here 6 times 7, the answer is 42 centimeters. Yes, it's nice if they do the units, but please be forgiving. The answer, the goal of all of this is that they have fun and do the maths at the same time. Okay, we don't need to be too, that can come later if you up at high school. I'm sure you guys are great at that. But lower down, we're just more concerned with getting them involved and getting those calculations right. Now, you can make that decision on whether or not you think that they should use a calculator or not. Okay, for some students, you might want to say, yes, it's fine. For others, you might want to say, actually, you know what? I know you can do this, and you should give this a go without that calculator. See how you go. That's a decision for you, really. I'll quickly jump to the next one, which is, this is a level 5 one, and from Friday. Okay, and as you can see, the instructions are the same. Now, a lot more, biggest changes that you can see is it's a lot wordier. There is, I'm not even sure if that's a word, wordier. There's obviously more complex. This is a focus on the standard form scientific notation. Okay, and there's a lot of, it may take more time than 10 or 15 minutes at that point. I think if you're going to take longer than 10 or 15 minutes on it though, then it's going to squash you a little bit if you're going to use the second activity in the in your lesson. So that's the daily dollar. The next one, and this is the probably you open with your daily dollar and then go into the Survivor series. Okay, so each task has a particular theme, and that stays the same for each level. So on Monday, all of the levels have got imaging data. On Tuesday, it's all a mapping activity. Wednesday, a sport theme. Thursday is construction, making things. And Friday is calculating, just working it out. Okay. Now these lessons take longer, and there's a lot of open-ended activities in this. So you might find that you start something, you get to the end of your lesson and you are not finished yet. It's perfectly fine to just pick it up where you were and carry on and finish that off. I think it's better that you do. For juniors working at level 1 and 2, there's a working area for the students to write in. So that'll give them a little bit more support around their answers. We might put a little table in there to help them to organize their thinking. Now, at the end of each activity, so then there's a little part of a proverb, and there are 5 of them. And at the end of the week, if you assemble those words in order, then it will make a proverb. And we've got some examples. Now, given I've talked about this already, but I've got to stress this because of the wide range of abilities, and it's not just in class, it's from school to school as well. So when we try and make these activities and we say, okay, we'll make this for level 3, then you might be working at year 5 and 6, and you might have a classroom for whom that's too hard. Please do adapt it, go down to that level below, or you might find that it's too easy and go to that level above. You're going to have to make that decision for yourself. Here's an example of the level 1 activities from Thursday for this year. So that should be the constructions. Now, many of these ones with constructions would be really suited for activity. Please do have a look at them beforehand and grab go to your storeroom, find that stuff that just sits there, never gets dragged out. Particularly if you've got a school maybe that was around at the start of the numeracy program, you might find that there are some boxes full of stuff that haven't been used in a very long time in a storeroom somewhere. kind of breaks my heart. If it hasn't been used by now, and it was bought at the start of the numeracy program, you are looking at stuff that hasn't been used for easily 15 years. It's about time it got pulled out of those storerooms and used. There's some great stuff there. So as you can see, there'll be some diagrams and there's space for them to put their answer in. Okay, you can see the table that they've put, so they just really need to write in there. Depending on your class, if you wanted to put it up on a TV, you could. You could, if you thought that it was more suited to be worked on at home and you thought it was a great home learning activity for students to do with their family, you could add it to a Google Classroom and put it there. We try to make the pictures interesting and colourful, of course, for the younger students. Looking at the other example I put in there, level 4. So again, level 4, that's a Monday one, so that'll be around pictures. Now, you'll see that, here's an example, select an image to use, check that no one else has the same image. Here's an example of a New Zealand photo, okay, and they can choose anyone. Once they've got the image, then they're going to look at it, see if there's any information that they might like to collect about it. So you've given us some examples there, downloads, orientation of the photo. Copy and paste that into a Google slideshow, okay, and that's pre-made already. So hopefully that's why it's a good example of why it's important that you look at these beforehand and there's a little bit of preparation at that point that you could do, okay. And then I won't go into any more detail about that simply because you've got the idea now, but it'll give you, I think the instructions, we've tried to make them as clear as we can. Okay, I think is the best way to say that.
Shane, can I just jump in quickly on that one as the writer? I'd really recommend you read the teacher's notes first, but I have made everything that you can take it and copy it and use it in your class, all right? So, but you can't turn up and just walk into the class and hope it will work right then and there. There is a little bit of pre-prep.
Yeah, thanks, but right, next one is the basket of maths. Now the sorry team, I'm used to the arrows working and it's not doing that for me. So I'm having to use the touchpad and it's a little bit fiddly. Basket of maths. It is now only suitable for year 9 to 11. It's pretty difficult. It's aimed at level 5 of the curriculum. Obviously, if you've got a streamed class, bit of a dirty word these days, but I still have one of those. So it is able year 7 and 8s. Again, students working at level 5. A different file for each day and it's standalone. Now, depending on the activity, right at the beginning, it will say whether or not you should use a calculator with this or not, and whether or not you are going to need ICT or not. That one's important. You can choose to display or print the activities. So here's the example. This is chapter 1, being rational about it. So this is from this year, and it is the Monday task. And if you look carefully, it just says chapters can be done in any order. However, there's a suggestion about chapter 4. And down there, number 5, this activity is to be completed without a calculator or other device. Now, that doesn't mean that all of those activities through the week have to be done like that. You'll need to check the instructions for each one. And this is obviously a little bit of work around some more complex divisions, okay, and square roots. Okay. You can see that, obviously, quick look at that would tell you it is not suited for level 1 to 4. Okay, difficult, pretty difficult. Right. Now, Pip, are there any questions? Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask at this point on anything that I've talked about? I'm aware that I'm rushing through this. but we're sitting at 10:31, so we've got about 15 minutes left max.
So there is a question in the chat about, oh, sorry, Maria, I'll shut up, let you.
Thanks, Pip. That would have been completely fine. But yes, Shane, there is one question in the chat from Sarah. It says, I'm new to Hukarere and I'm wanting to increase the amount of manipulative materials for maths. Could you make recommendations, please?
Right, so just listening to that question, sounds like you're at a school and you don't have enough there, or that they do have it and you want to use more of it. If you need to get more for your school, best person to do that is whoever's in charge of your maths. Talk to them and they'll have some ideas maybe about finding some stuff in your school where it is. Or if you're looking to use more manipulables in your class, then that is the first thing I would do. Find out what is available in your school. So again, it's about networking with your colleagues, talking to the right people in the school, and they'll point you to the right place, particularly at your year level. Once you get to the storeroom, you'll probably be surprised, but things that I particularly lower down that are gold are things like the Cuisinart rods. They are just amazing. There's a whole lesson on that I do a little bit of research online before trying to use those, because they'll give you some ideas. Other things would be don't overlook the counters down there, coloured counters of any kind, the cubes. So they connect together, forget the name of them, but they are both coloured and they're interlink cubes, I think they might be called. Also the number fans. Number fans are great, particularly for younger ones. Then place value. So there's the flip boards with those. I often find place value is a real weakness by the time they get to year 7 or 8. And also, it's almost like one and done. So it's not that they don't get taught lower down. We know that they do. But then perhaps there's just not enough repetition of that. So there's a quick grab bag, and I hope that answered your question. Feel free to email me if you need some ideas, but I think the best people to ask are your colleagues at your school. There'll be someone there that can help you with that. Right, moving on. So,
sorry, Shane, there's just one more question, a few more questions. If students log in, will they only get access to the actual day of the week on that day?
No, once Monday comes along, the activities will go live for the whole week, I believe. It's probably best, because there is, for some of them, a progression or a sequence, that they do the Monday one on Monday and then maybe the Tuesday one on Tuesday. But to give you an example, our school doesn't do maths on the Tuesday. That's our day when all of the withdrawal groups happen in sport and that kind of thing. It's just too chaotic. So we've only got 4 sessions a week for us to implement Mathsweek, which has got 5 sessions. So it might be that we do the Tuesday ones on Wednesday and then Thursday on Friday and so on. And that actually our Mathsweek rocks on into early week of the following week. All right. Those 3 activities obviously are not the whole thing. There are a whole lot of these activities, and some of them are amazing. The Maths Chaser is always really popular, and the feedback, you'll be asked to give feedback using a Google form, and please do, because we do look at it quite carefully and make changes for the following year based on that feedback. It's incredibly valuable to us. Plus, we like our feel goods. It's always nice to get somebody that says it's amazing, because that makes us feel like our work has been worthwhile. The Maths Millionaire, all right? So this is for years 5 to 11. It's a little bit too hard. It has been translated into Te Reo. So that's to allow the kuras to get involved. You know, we're trying to give them opportunities. So an example for the Maths Millionaire, if you know who wants to be a millionaire. Now, this one is, the example that I've got here is kind of not how it works on the website. So on the website, it does happen there. So you have to enter your answer, and it gives you either go forward if you got the answer right, or it won't let you proceed. Okay, for example, this is the level year 7 and 8, so it's level 4, and you get an increasing amount of virtual dollars. And as it says, sorry, it's not real money again. We can't afford this. They're always disappointed by that. But if you were to get all 11 questions right, then you'd score $1,024. Okay, and the kinds of questions you've got are this: they're multiple choice, and there's a little bit all with that maths theme of visual follow-ups, you know, and it's, you know, pretty topical stuff. So pictures that of people that may be prominent mathematicians. I've got another one there from Hidden Figures, and that'll give you a chance to maybe, again, it's if you didn't want to use the other one that I showed you as a lesson starter, this is a really good one as a lesson starter. And again, should take maybe 10 minutes, I would think. The Maths Chaser, again, now, if you've seen the chase, and this always gets the kids excited. So you are the chaser in this case, which they love, and because they all love to beat you. Now, the bad news for them is that you always get the answers right. And there's a little quiz at the start of the lesson. There's a printout of the ladder. So you need to print those beforehand so that they can, they know where on the ladder that they start, right? And at the start of each lesson, so this is the page that you print, okay? It's just one page, and it covers Monday, Tuesday through to Friday. Now, so on the Monday, you give them the quick 10 questions, and based on the number that they get right, that'll tell them where they start on the ladder, okay? Chaser starts here, and they'll be somewhere there or thereabouts on the ladder. And then, of course, once they've got their position on the ladder, then you can ask them the questions. Now, you can ask them the questions by reading them out. You could ask them by putting them up on the screen, and then it's a very quick marking after that. There's a separate piece of paper with the that you can print with the answers on. So this is the teacher copy. It's got the answers on the right and the questions on the left. Now, this will look a little bit different for you. So this is the version that goes to our leader, and then he reformats that. So there's two versions. There's the student version and the teacher version. Obviously, the students will be looking at their version, which doesn't have the answers. This one is, from the feedback that we get, is one of the most popular ones that teachers, particularly at level 1 to 4, like to use with their class. They said that the kids really enjoy this one. As I said, the games do work. They're on the home page, and yep, there's a super challenge. Now, that one there is for 4 days. Okay, if you answer all 4 questions correctly, that can be submitted through the website, and they will get a certificate that we send back to you. Here's an example. Now, these are designed to be a little bit harder. They're going to take more time. They are quite suited for, you know what, you didn't manage to finish this in the lesson, take it home, or work on it later in the day at a different time and just chill away at it. And when you think you've got an answer, then they can bring it to you, and that can be submitted. Okay, the idea is that they would submit all 4 and that gets sent away. There are some Moneywise questions. So the Moneywise questions to encourage financial capability. Now, they are for the level 5. Now, I don't have an example of those, unfortunately. That goes live on the website on Monday. Each day has a different theme. Okay. And again, you can pick and choose from that. Now, that's pretty much it. I've got about 4 minutes. So I think that's 2 minutes to wrap it up and 2 minutes for questions, I think. Mathsweek's materials are available for the students to access from Monday. Now, you have access to these resources after Mathsweek finishes. And they're going to stay live on that website if you get that registration done till I think about November is when we cut it off last year, sorry. And again, I strongly, we all know that we're pretty busy and that you may have some things that you need to get done that aren't connected to Mathsweek. Don't be shy about doing it outside of those dates. Please do. That's the goal, that we just slot them in where you can. Use them. That's what they're for. Now, this was my experience with Mathsweek, and it actually worked really well. So I just say this is how I would go about growing it in your school. First year, if you're new, just do it yourself. No pressure, and that way if you muck up, who cares? Nobody knows. See if you can find a colleague that you can shoulder tap, somebody else that loves doing maths. It's always nice to have a friend, bounce some ideas off, or talk to them about, hey, look, I tried this one, this worked really well, or oh, I'd hate to hear this. I tried this one. No, don't do that one. It didn't work. Once you've done it for 1 year and you're pretty confident with it, then, and you've decided, okay, I want to grow this, and you talk to management, or you are management and you've made that decision and they're all on board. What you need to do is get it added to the school calendar and do that at the start of the year. Okay, you will know when it needs to be. It's always in August. And I think we put the dates up for next year's Mathsweek pretty early. Now, when it gets towards the end of term 2, you want to get it added to your team meetings, okay, and get the teachers registered at that point. That's probably the best way to do it, rather than sending an email out and going, oh, please register, because in my experience, half of them will register and half of them will put it on the to-do list, and you're just going to have to chase them up. So it's a 2-minute job in the team meeting. If you've got a pupil council or something like that, get some of the kids on board. They could run some lunchtime activities during Mathsweek, turn it into a bit of a thing. You need to talk to the teacher in charge of that, and those kids will have some really good ideas. They're the movers and shakers. Let them come up with the activities. Tie it into anything else that's going on in your school. So particularly in August, for us, that's Cantermath. For Wellington, that'd be Mathswell, Auckland MathX. Use your assembly times, get the principal to talk about maths. We all know they love doing that. But this is our time in the sun. That's what it's for. And they will do that. Get you, and dish out your certificates that week for maths. And add in any photos and get it put up on your website or your Google Classrooms. Are there any questions? I've gone 1 minute over time. Whoops. No. Okay, well, that's me. Thank you for listening. I appreciate that. I hope you got something valuable out of it. And yes, if you haven't registered already, please do give it a go and share that love of maths with everyone.